Hey, and welcome back to episode 5 of Honey the Photographers. Here in this episode, we have Paul from Exceed Homes. He's a builder around the Canberra region, Googong and Bungendore, and he shares some really great insights into what it's like being a builder in the industry here in Canberra, and a bit about marketing and how marketing can help elevate your building company. So without further ado, stick around and here's episode 5.
Welcome to number 5 podcast. Paul, do you want to tell us who you are and a bit about you and your company?
Yeah, for sure. Paul Urbaniak is my name. My company, Exceed Homes, has been around since 2010. So in building terms, it's 13 years, which is a good amount of time. We specialise in custom homes, extension renovation work. We do a lot of house and land packages, and we do about 30 projects a year. With a focus on people who are sort of buying their sort of second, third home, and mature buyers as well. The company itself is run by myself and my wife Sandy. We've got about
who elected not to be here today.
Who was encouraged.
I'm still disappointed.
Yeah,
she will be listening to this.
More personable than I am. So
she's just a good laugh. She's great to have in a room.
She is a good laugh. But I run the business. Sandy runs the back end of the business. We've got about 15 staff. We've got a project manager, construction manager. We've got 4 or 5 apprentices, some qualified carpenters. We've got a full-time tiler on staff and a concreter on staff, just so that we can really embrace the quality of our products.
So what was the scale for you? Were you just sort of like, yep, we want to start Exceed Homes and start with one-man band, or you wanted to always scale really quickly with your company?
Yeah, listen, that's a good question. So initially, I got into this because I started investing. So I spent 20 years in IT, working in and around IBM. I got out of that, spent a few years at home playing dad, and enjoyed that. Got a bit bored, so then I started doing investing and buying homes and putting secondary dwellings on the back of them for rentals and fixing up homes and flipping them. And as part of that, we sort of kicked off from there and kept on going. So, we've grown quickly. So our growth really come in the last 5 years. We've gone from being a small builder to quite a decent sized builder in a fairly quick amount of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how do you bring experience from the IT sector into something completely different, into a building world?
It's interesting. So IT, being a technology-based sector, is very adaptive and adoptive. So it will, new solutions developed.
Yeah, by nature it's
you're developing new stuff all the time, and you're understanding it, and you're working with business partners to solution things and deliver things. And being a Canberra-based organisation, a lot of that's around government. And so, my role in the past was to identify requirements for government, mature their understanding of solutions that are available, tender for that, and deliver the project. And then obviously what we all go to work for, get paid. Building industry is no different. It's basically an industry that, you qualify what a client needs. You then develop plans and engineering. You then document that. You tender a final price. You deliver the product, get paid. So, what we've done is we're quite adaptive. So we will, look at a new technology, a new cladding type. We'll look at new home automation, and go, you know what? It's good. It adds value. It's affordable. It makes sense. And there's a good manufacturer behind it. It's got the support to implement it. So we'll happily adopt, and do something a bit different. So about 6 years ago, I sort of was looking at the industry, looking at what sort of external cladding materials were available, and what made sense to me was using lightweight cladding materials. They were easy to transport. It could be installed by our carpenters, so we could take control of the quality. They basically were, in some cases, better insulated than brick. So there's a lot of good reasons to do that. And I'm noticing now more and more builders are going away from masonry products and actually going lightweight. So our display home that we built 4 years ago, it was all bar one brick wall. It was all lightweight cladding.
Yeah, wow. Is there any downsides to the lightweight cladding?
There is, in a sense that I suppose, like if you look at your typical ColourBond sheet or fibrous cement sheet, they're quite thin, so their insulation values aren't great. I mean, you can overcome some of that by, putting in wall insulation and sarking the home with wrap. But, definitely they're not as good as a brick.
Yeah.
But then a brick is not as good as some of the polystyrene products that we're now using. So you might see a rendered house wall, it could be brick behind that, or it could be a polystyrene sheet.
I feel brick these days is just used as like feature, and like I think that's where it's best.
And structural more than anything else.
Nah,
Well,
it's supposed to look good.
Well, that's you make the comment about structural though. The clearest thing about saying brick is structural is that it's not the structural element of your home. So the structural element of the home is your frame and truss. The brick is actually tied to the frame so it stays upright. So the bricks, in reality, a single skin brick on a typical home is not a structural element at all. Like without those tie-ins, it wouldn't take much to push the thing over.
Right, and then just on the durability and the cladding, are homes built with cladding and with lighter weight materials means that they're less durable? Like back in the day, you'd used to build like a good solid brick home and it'd last for 40 odd years. Is that still the same, or how's lifespan aren't necessarily meant to be that these days?
I mean, I think every material takes maintenance. So,
Right.
I mean, a face brick that we've seen versus, I mean, the brick may be standing, but the mortar might deteriorate over time.
Gotcha.
It might need to be redone. Whether we use a brick or a piece of foam, the acrylic render we use now is the same. So we do builds with the lower levels brick and the upper levels foam, and we render it all, and you can't tell the difference.
And it's still just as tough because it's even though it's foam underneath.
So it's a acrylic membrane, so you hit it and it's hard.
Right.
But you can feel the difference. Like I actually deliberately in my own home I built a couple of years ago, in my entry, this side's brick and this side's foam, so you can hit both sides and feel the
Test
difference.
it. Yeah.
Just every time you come home, just knock.
You just knock, just like I do it for fun. But if you were to, like, you could damage both.
Gotcha.
From a longevity perspective, I mean, polystyrene as a cladding product has only been around for a certain period of time. I don't know what it will be like in 40 years.
So it hasn't tested really yet.
No.
It's longevity. Gotcha.
But it's got some elements to it. I mean, we use a lot, so we quite like it. We use a product called NRG Greenboard. For example, it won't cast a flame. So there was an instance in a property in Canberra where there was a fire that was lit, the timber frames burnt and cast a flame, but the board, the foam, melted, but it never cast a flame. So it's actually, even
safer.
though it's foam, it's actually quite a fire-safe product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bricks are quite fire-safe, but a lot of people go, oh, foam,
It's carcinogenic. It's
the tower in England that went up and, but this is not the same.
Yeah.
Grenfell Towers.
It's not the same. But the external claddings are good. I mean, you can play with them. You can get multiple elements. But we like the lightweight stuff. It makes a lot of sense. It's easy to build with. It's quick, makes you build quicker.
Well, I like the fact that you get to take matters into your own hands a little bit. You know, you're not having to out-contract to the brickies or sort of whoever, like any masonry people. You can do all that in home.
Well, I don't know what the stats are, but I can tell you over the last 5 years, it's been hard to find surplus bricklayers, even roof tilers. I don't know. I don't believe there's many new homes being built in this region with, ceramic or concrete tiles on their roofs.
What is it now?
Colorbond roofing, like it's all tin.
Yeah,
it's all they're just hard to get. Those people are hard to get, and when resources become hard to get, they become pretty expensive to get to. So we do extension work as well. We do tile work where we tie an extension into an existing home. So we do have a couple of tiling crews that we use, but they're expensive.
So on the quality, because you guys definitely exceed in the terms of quality, what makes your builds higher quality over another build?
That's a big subject.
Yeah.
It starts from the design phase through to the delivery.
So it's not just one thing. It's not materials.
No, but
it's the whole experience.
Yeah,
really.
it's the whole experience. But I can talk high level about certain things that I think is really important.
Please.
So from a design phase, so like building a home to a block. You come see me. You've got a block of land you've purchased in Whitlam or somewhere in Canberra or somewhere just outside of Canberra, and it's got slope on it and it faces this way, and you've got a frontage. So designing a home and you say, well, in my brief, I've got a family of 3. my kids need a bedroom each. I want a spare for a study. So, you build out your brief of outcomes and that outcome, and then you say, oh, and I want that to fit on this block of land. So how do you guarantee that when you wake up in the morning, that when you walk into your living area, that you're getting the morning light? How do you guarantee that do you know the kids' bedrooms are going to be down the wing and have a segregated master? Are the bathrooms going to be big enough? Do you have a person with needs in the home? Like there's all these outcomes that you need to know before you even go meet an architect or a draftsperson to discuss that.
So it sounds like you've got a really good process that sort of hones in a lot of those questions that really helps tailor an experience for the end result, basically.
That's right. And the problem in that initial stage, and as I said, this is a big subject, but so we take on builds where the clients had their own journey and they've met with the architect and design people without a builder engaged. And what happens is they get to the point where they can go to builders and go, oh, now price this. And what they've come up with is beautiful, but not rational and not
expensive,
not easy to build, and could have been done better.
Yeah.
So one of the advantages that I think by engaging the builder at the same time as your drafter or your architect is that the builder, if they're any good, will go along for the ride, and they'll advise as they go about, like having something floating in the air without any post. Yeah, we can do it, but that's going to take 15 grand with a structural steel to make that work.
Yeah,
I think it's worth having that like grounded, but a person who's grounded in reality who goes, that sounds great.
Checks and balances.
Exactly, checks and balances.
And in some clients we build for have the budget. They want what they want. You know what I mean? Some others do not, but it's best to understand that. Nothing worse than getting that beautiful architecture design home and then realising you actually can't afford to build it.
Well, yeah, that's managing expectations. Like that's like, could you imagine to be like, oh my God, like, so, honey, we've got like our home together. It's going to be amazing. Here you go. And they go, that'll cost you 3 times what you thought.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's crushing.
That's crushing.
That's what happened with Claire and I. We we went off and did our first build together, and I'm the ideas man very much so, and Claire's the financial side. So she was the reality check when I went into did stuff. So it's sort of like even to the point of just changing a roof design from a standard roof design into a pitched point. You're like, it adds on 30 grand just in a pitch point, and you're like, yeah, but it looks cool.
Well, even like you're looking at like your traditional home, roof with a 18-degree pitch. And then you go, oh, but how about a skiing roof, a flat roof? Surely it's cheaper. There's less material. So but an air conditioning system for the one with the pitch roof where there's all this space to work with is 15 grand. The same air conditioning in that roof, which is flat, is 20. You just cost yourself 5 grand. You don't know why. But the builder knows why, because he's got nowhere to run the ducting because you've picked a flat roof.
And that sounds like that's number one reason why engaging a builder first and early is so important, because they can walk you through some of those. And an experienced builder is not one that is just going to take your ideas and go with it. Yes, they can do that, but it's far better. And this is where I think separates you guys, is because you understand that experience and understand the journey that they want to take and the end goal and how to navigate the path to get to that most effectively. I think
avoiding I thought I was going to get. I told the architect I wanted. You may have told the architect you wanted that, but it's not on the plan. It wasn't. You said it. You thought you were going to get it. I mean, not everybody can read a plan and understand that symbolises a brick wall. That symbolises something different. I've had a recent client that thought that they were going to get an internal brick wall because they told their architect they wanted it. We were building the house and they said, oh, this is supposed to be a brick wall. And it's like, well, that's not on plan. Oh, but we told so-and-so we wanted that. Well,
and that's a separate architect that you don't collaborate with, because you obviously have your architect that you work with.
Well, that was an architect. That was a build of a lovely couple that walked into our display home and said, we like your display and we like you. We want to build with you. And we have our plans done already.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we got it. We nailed every element that was on plan, but it was a perception thing in their head that they thought was there.
And that's hard because the buck stops with you. I think people can conflate everything to do with the construction of a home to builders. You
do own everything, don't you? Like as a head contractor and as the builder, everything stops with you.
Yeah.
But you take that element back. So we fixed that problem. So we said, okay, you can have a brick wall.
Did you put a brick wall in?
We did do a brick wall, and it was a variation though. That costs time, that costs money. It extended the build time by a couple of weeks. It's not what you want. So engaging the builder early. the builder, like we really look at things as outcome-based things, not as how to build, but, we know how to build. We don't need to explain to you, the client, how to build. You might know, that's okay. But we want to know what outcomes you want, so that at the end of the day, the outcomes that you wanted are there.
Yeah.
So we don't sit there and explain how we're going to build it for you. We sit there and ask you what you want to achieve and how you want it to look in the end and feel, and what rooms you want, and go from there. And then by being a part of the architectural process, yes, it takes my time to go and sit with you and the architect. And sometimes I just sit in a meeting and listen. But I know how the customer got to their plan. I know that they are happy to spend the money on that floating deck, because that's something really important to them.
Yep.
So I don't try and talk them away from that. But they've been advised that it'll be something that'll be quite expensive. They understand. So the expectations are set.
And I think not being a no builder as well. I think you strike a really nice balance between saying yes too much and then something going wrong, and then saying no all the time because you've not done it before. And I think you end up saying, we can do that.
Yeah.
These are all the hurdles. These are all the things that are going to go well or going to go badly. These are the expectations that are set.
Yeah.
Are you okay with them? Yes or no? Yes, let's build. No, let's figure out a different plan.
Understanding. I'll go to that shortly. I won't go early on that, but understanding risks and who holds the risk in building is really important.
Yeah.
After architecturals are done, though, your next stage in a custom home build, and you don't necessarily get a lot of this with your house and land package style builds, is design. So you go meet with an interior exterior designer, and you go and see the kitchen company and do your joinery design. But in that you're getting a unique product. You're getting a solution where they'll look at your cupboard height, your bench top height, and the tile you selected as a splashback, and the overhead cupboards. And if the tile's 120 mil tall, they'll make sure that they give us enough height so that we can do full tiles from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Those little extra bits of detail that wouldn't be in a templated home or a stand.
And because the designs we've done right, the afternoon sun is hitting the right space, the morning sun's hitting the right space. Sandy and I built our own home 3 years ago, and we rented a house for a year, and the living space was on the wrong side of the house. Every day we woke up and turned the lights on. And it ruins your day.
Yeah.
Like getting up in the morning and having to turn lights on to be in your living space ruins your day.
Yeah.
So definitely, I mean, you guys take photos of our houses we build, and you'll notice that the living areas are always light filled and, and on the right side and in the right location.
It's a fundamental thing, but a lot of people don't take it for granted. Building north to northeast facing houses are the number one. And but understanding what that actually means, like you build a north facing house. Well, what does that mean? Is it bedroom north facing, the bathroom north facing? No, it's a living and main part of the house that you spend majority of your day in. Should be the north facing part of it, because that's the part that you're going to enjoy the most of. Yeah.
And spending money in the wrong spots.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunately, some of the blocks now are very small, and that's okay, because I mean that's what it is, and they're affordable, and people got to start somewhere. And but then people are spending big money on beautifying a side of home which is on boundary.
Yeah.
And no one sees it. The only person sees it is their neighbour.
Yeah.
Using expensive building materials there. Like,
yeah, and the only way you're going to see it is by climbing the fence.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I mean, in Australia, we spend a whole lot of time making the front of our house really beautiful, and we live inside the home.
Yes.
So sometimes I wonder why we spend so much money on the outside of the house. I'd rather throw it into my kitchen that I'm going to enjoy and I'm going to be living in.
I'm going to have cardboard at the front of the house, cardboard at the side of the house, a beautiful semi-industrial kitchen, and a bed.
That's all you need.
That's my house.
That's your dream. Well, come see me.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I'll give you a call.
So your architectural, you go through your design process, you do your shopping, you then come up with a product. In the meantime, as a builder, we're developing working drawings and engineering and getting site classifications done. So we meet at a point in time where we've got something designed and ready to build. You've gone through your application process, and whichever body is approving it's taking way too long, and we get to the point where we turn soil. But before we get to the turn soil part, everything's specified. So when we turn up, we know where everything's going. We know
exactly down to
exactly where it's going to go. Yeah. It's on our cloud-based project management software. You've approved it. You know that bathroom's getting that exhaust fan, that vanity color, that top so that when we deliver the product in the end, you go, yes, that's what I asked for. When the plumber shows up, he's got the installation guide or she's got the installation guide too. What is the mixer and what's its height? So it sits the right distance above the basin above the top. This sort of level of detail is you get from custom building.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes. So it's really interesting listening to the way that you, I think, see the concept of building. I think I haven't had I've got friends who do construction, but I've never sort of had a one-on-one with a builder per se, and sort of how they see the plans and how it all comes together. And it's really interesting the way that you talk, is because it resonates so much more with hospitality that I know about than it does with anything else, because you're thinking about the client, their experience, how you can streamline all of those things, how the back end can be not only invisible, but also very, very helpful, so that ultimately the end result for whoever comes to you has a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've really resonated with working with everyone, and not just obviously you and Sandy, but the entire team really focuses on that.
Yeah.
And I think that's super special that you guys do.
Nothing guts our guys more, and we've had this happen to us, that they work really hard to build a product and be proud of their outcome, and have a client say, yeah, it was 99% awesome, but I wasn't happy with, I thought I was going to get this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go, and they tell their friends that, and they tell peers that.
And it just puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth, but from no fault of their own.
But from our perspective, we worked like
You
my
nailed
guys
it.
worked their guts out, and they like we years ago we thought about should we be offering a low cost product to the market? Should we do a lower cost build? And I looked at it, and the more I looked at it, I go, I can try that, but the guys on site will never do it. They just don't build that way. They will always do best practice. They will always do best quality. You know what I mean? So we just need to embrace.
You got to lean into that, I think that's really unique. And I think, like we were talking before, you're saying more recently there's been a lot of mistrust with builders as of late. And I think you guys fly in the face of that and essentially just turn the other way and push everything up the other hill.
I feel very sorry for builders at the moment, including myself. The last 4 years in the building industry generally has been terrible. In Canberra, it's had its added values.
Can you sort of expand on as to why and what the problems have been?
So we obviously had COVID shut down, the first one, so that hurt. That hurt everybody, so not just builders, but we had it. We couldn't go to site, we couldn't progress our builds. So that hurt the client, it hurt us. We then came back on site, had a few months of goodness. We worked under conditions. You had to put in controls, etc. for COVID, and then we had fires.
Oh,
and so the fires were
back to back,
horrendous for not only for everybody in this region, and I know that a lot of people had there's a lot of terrible things happen. But again, the guys couldn't work; they couldn't go on site, couldn't breathe properly.
Is that because of all the smoke?
Well, the smoke, yeah. So we had another period of time where we could only be back mid-January. I think we're pushing past that, and we had clients getting angry and not understanding why their bills were taking a bit longer, etc. And as much as you can educate, people would just get emotional.
Of course, yeah.
So we had that, and then we got going again, and then we had another COVID lockdown around August. I remember it because it was my daughter's 18th birthday, and she had booked out a place in Kingston for her party, and the day of her party, they locked us back down again.
Oh, that's brutal.
And so we came back, and the government then went, let's stimulate our economy. How are we going to stimulate this economy? How are we going to get ourselves back on? Well, listen, let's throw a bunch of money at people building new homes and doing projects.
which was awesome.
Awesome for people, right?
But that created a nightmare in itself.
So then we entered the profitless boom.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So we have an industry where everybody's buying new homes. Not only is the price of houses going up, but also the cost of materials are going up. Labour is going up. There's not enough product to go around, enough labour force to go around. What supply and demand, when that's not going right, what happens?
So that was all because of a large amount of demand and not enough supply?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
In my opinion, there was far too much work, not enough supply. We changed our business practices. Like, we actually started from a business perspective being dumb. So what we did is to make sure our projects kept going, we rented a double garage and started buying materials in advance. So we would
That's pretty risky though,
Correct. So what we do is when we sign a building contract, we'd order the frames and trusses and windows the next day.
Yeah.
Because they were taking 4 to 5 months to come through. And when we got the rough-in items for plumbing, which is done at frame and truss stage, after lockup, we were buying everything. So we were sitting on stock
Assets,
ovens and stuff because if we left it and tried to get it when we actually needed it, we wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's again like commitment to the end result, though, which is
correct.
Something to be said.
But that comes down to again, like so you're taking jobs that we signed in late 2021, early 2022, which should have been like as a builder, I don't mind. I tell all my clients, I mean, your overheads for a building company is about 10% of your revenues. Under home warranties that we have to have in ACT New South Wales, they want to see you make about 12 to 14% profit. If you're a builder last year and you made any profit at all, you're better than me. Like just all
margin was so tight.
Well, yeah, we went in thinking we were going to have a really good year, and then materials went up 30% across the board. Labour force went up. Like we were paying last year, we were paying $2.42 per brick to be laid. Like, and it's 50 bricks in a square metre. So 1 square metre of bricks was $2.42 times 50, plus the cost of the brick and the mortar on top of that. Now bricks at the time were about $2 a brick.
Wow.
So you're probably talking around sort of $5 to lay a brick. One.
What was the most scarce material that you were trying to? Was it wood and frames and trusses, or?
Yeah, probably timber, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get beaten up, so by other builders. But we would literally we found that one of the Bunnings stores out at the airport didn't have a lot of trade customers go through there, and they would often have a certain type of timber that we use a lot of LVLs would arrive there, and so Bunnings didn't. They just got stock in and they just ship it out to different stores, and so one of our guys would go in there and see it, and they'd go, "Paul, there's LVLs here," and I'd go, "Right," and I'd do it.
Buy them all.
You'd get all the Exceed Homes guys in their utes and stuff going out there and just buying what we could and taking it and storing it because.
Well, I mean, everyone's got to adapt to survive.
Exactly right. Yeah. But
wow.
It also meant that you're paying for something and you weren't getting paid for it for 5 months.
Yeah.
Which is not good business practice. Yeah. Like, we all know you've got to be just in time deliveries, and that's the way we are today. And we're back there now, which is good. So we've had 4 years of very, the original question,
turbulent.
It's been interesting. Like every time you think you're going to get ahead, something else has happened. But I can say, and I don't know if my counterparts agree, because I was at a meeting recently at the HIA with some other builders, and they seem to still have a very negative view of the world. And I thought, no, it's been better than that. Like our last 3 to 6 months, we're ordering windows 3 weeks in advance, frames and trusses 3 weeks in advance. We're not pre-shipping ovens and cooktops anymore.
That's good.
There's still some stuff happening. I'm getting calls from bricklayers or concreters saying, "Hey, we've got some bandwidth. You got any work?" Like painters, like trades that in my last 5 years I've never heard someone call me. We're always chasing them, asking the question. So I think the current climate of probably the banks aren't lending a whole lot of money at the moment, and they're quite tight.
That's helped, I think, normalize a lot of things by doing that.
So so I think when you say builders aren't being trusted, I think they're getting blamed for a lot of stuff that were out of their control. There have been builders going under, and I could see why they've gone under. They've signed contracts in really good faith, and a lot of builders that you see going under are either volume builders that build a lot of homes at a low cost, and so they didn't have a lot of
margin
room,
or
they're carpenters that turn into builders that did 3 or 4 projects a year, don't have a lot of business acumen, don't know how to have that hard conversation with the client and saying, "Hey, if we can't renegotiate this contract, then we can't finish your build. We might fall over," and they just fall over.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of problems, but it's now hopefully we can build a bit more trust back up.
So there's not any one thing about mistrust. I think there's a combination of everything over the past couple of years.
I think the last 4 or 5 years has just had one hurdle after the other in the building industry, and I think that it's taken its toll on some people. I don't think anybody's gone out of their way to be untrustworthy.
Yeah.
We certainly
they're all just trying hard. I think just the factors given in front of them or way they're presented.
Right. Yeah.
They've just had to choose one way or the other.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's always going to be an element. Every industry's got an element of people that are dodgy and but it's not just the building industry. That's
No, we work in real estate. We know.
You talk about like the hospitality industry. I just watched the second season of Bear.
Oh yeah,
and it gets really high end on the the 3-star Michelin star restaurants and how they operate and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really.
And you're like going, I wonder if that's real.
Oh, it's very real. I've not actually seen the Bear, and I haven't seen what you've seen, but believe me, it's true. And, like it's wild. Like the margins they operate on are insane. Like the amount of food that they waste and the amount of free labor that they use just to break even is insane. Like the thing is called a stage. A stage is essentially like someone who goes to work for a fancy restaurant, so they can say they worked there on their resume. They don't get paid to be there.
That's right.
What? So it's simply like work experience.
They had a whole episode on that.
Yeah, they do.
On this
yeah.
And but he came out going, eyes open, and went back to his restaurant he was at and went, "Oh, I've been wrong. I'm sorry." Like
it's massive value add. Like you are really like it's a bit of an artist's trade, in that respect. You are giving them value, but they are giving you
so much more value.
Well, depending on how badly they use you, but if you're smart and you know how to like work with them well and kind of get in, then they'll start to give you better jobs and they'll start to tell you more things and kind of treat you as part of the team.
Open up to you,
Yeah, whereas if you're a bit of an idiot, they're just going to make you peel shallots for 6 weeks.
This guy spent 3 days cleaning forks.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah.
But I think it's very American. I think working for free in America to get experience is quite commonplace.
Yeah.
I can't think of the right terminology for it, but it's around.
Yeah.
Now that we've sort of come out of this COVID time and this turbulent world, why introduce a marketing company into your business, and what makes a company like us help you guys do what you do?
I suppose that was a bit of a penny drop moment for me. So having worked for a big multinational for a couple of decades, so marketing just happened. And
there was no thought; it was just something that was always in the back.
We all know IBM.
Yep.
Everybody knows it comes with its own credibility, and
they've got their own skyscraper dedicated to marketing.
Exactly. Right. So that's. I think at one point they were the biggest publishing house in the world. Like the amount of documentation they created. Anyway, side subject. So I believe we have a very good name in the marketplace, and we have for many years, and we're very much a relationship driven company. We're a family business. We're a trust based business. We open our books up to our clients. We show quotes. So everything we do is all about building rapport, trust, and outcomes. So these are our staples. So we will always have work, but we wanted to grow, and we wanted to do it in a way that what we realised is that we won because people liked Sandy or liked Paul. They weren't buying into
the name exceed
homes.
Yeah.
They were buying into people.
Yep.
And we wanted to grow, and we wanted to start doing more house and land packages, still custom, still semi-custom, where it'll still be designed for the block of land that we have, and the light will come in the right way and it'll be of quality, but not the full custom experience, which is knocking down a house and you go pick everything. You spend 25 hours with the designer and that sort of thing. So just a pullback version. But what we realised is that we didn't have that presence out there. Like we didn't, we weren't getting leads. I was putting mine up all homes and Exceed homes, and nothing was happening. So we had no more presence than what someone who told someone about us would know.
Yeah. So word of mouth became it wasn't as going as far as it needed to, basically.
Correct. And the product was the people.
Yes.
Like myself, my project manager, Sandy, people liked us personally.
Yep.
And friends of friends might know us, but that's about our extent.
Yep.
And so if we want us to grow by 30 projects a year, 30 new homes and 30 semi-custom homes a year, we weren't going to do that without being more professional with our marketing.
Yep.
And marketing, I learned, doesn't just happen. Like you won't just do something today and then next week it'll make a sale. It's going to
does in the real estate world, not in the everyday real estate world.
It's going to be a lead time, 64 months. So, and we also, I had younger customers come through our display home, and I had one young lady who was in marketing, and they still chose to use us because we had good rapport. But she said, we Googled you, and we almost didn't use you.
Wow.
Because
That's no
you
surprise.
have no reviews, and you had your website's a bit how's your father, and you haven't posted much on bloody Facebook, and we're like, okay, yep.
Yeah, whoops.
I had another couple in a project I really wanted to get. Actually, it was in Hackett, and it was a knockdown rebuild, and it had a cigar bar, and it had all these cool things I really wanted. And the end result that we didn't get it was because we didn't have any reviews on Google.
Right.
You know, so they said you and the other company were really on par. I like you both, but and whether that was just an excuse or not, I don't know. But I think it all
it's good feedback either way.
Yeah, it all equates to, if we want to grow as a business and if we want people to acknowledge our brand, and if someone thinks about building a home, they might think about staples like McDonald Jones or Rawson's. We want to be, if they see the logo, if they think about building, we want to be a name that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get that by having an outdated website.
Yeah.
And hoping that word of mouth gets about. And even honestly, even if word of mouth gets around, it's like, oh, I see, it's great. 88% of people under 40 will go to your social media to see who you are or what you do.
Yeah.
88% of people will do that.
And that's all age groups.
And that's all age groups.
Yeah.
And that's massive.
That's massive, yeah.
Showing establishment and showing trustworthiness, not in the same sense we were just talking about previously, but in the idea of like, we're here, we exist, we've done this for so long, we can do it with our eyes closed and we can give you a great experience.
Yep.
That's kind of where
it's basically a way of verbalizing
Yeah.
what you already created. You've got this word of mouth and trust, but you need to, unfortunately, everyone wants to see it. Like, what's your physical evidence to show your word of mouth and trust?
you have to tell people now. You can't just.
Well, I think you always did, but I think the reality is that like any business owner and anybody who is doing more than one role, and particularly in a small, medium business, that's what everybody does. Is it tends to fall away. Like it's the I want to do this, I'll get to it, and I just never got to
But
it.
the finances come up.
Yeah, or customer needs to talk, or and like you can't be good at everything. Like I think typically people are good at marketing, probably aren't so good at other things that I might be doing. So I just realised that A, I wasn't doing it, and my wife wasn't doing it. B, when we did do it, we weren't overly good at it. And C, it needs to be done in a reliable and in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the experience for that.
Yeah.
So
and that's it. You stick to your wheelhouse. Your wheelhouse is running a successful company and a building industry, and ours is to make sure that we can give you leads and let people know that you exist in the way that you exist.
exactly. And see us in our best light. I mean, we build really cool stuff, and then we hand the house over and thought, oh, geez, I wish I got some photos of that. Or I'll take a few snaps, and then you look at your photos of your iPhone and go, that's pretty shit. Yeah. And I'm not real good at
I'm not going to put that in my portfolio.
That's right, yeah. Or you do.
Yeah.
In which you didn't.
Yeah. You don't know which one's worse.
Yeah, we built some really cool stuff. And we've had some great customers. We have really, really nice customers. And you guys have done some testimonials with a couple of our clients. And
they love you. They can't get enough of you.
Yeah, and that's cool. But we've never had the time to make that happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I get a bit embarrassed. I don't really want to. I personally wouldn't go ask a client to say nice things about me.
It's awkward if you're the one in the room asking to tell.
We've just been through it with us. Me doing it with a couple of our clients. I'm so glad that Luke took that on, because I don't think it would have been as genuine if I was standing there sort of feeling like I was putting a spotlight on.
The testimonials we
did.
Yeah.
Especially like with Justin and I deliberately walked away because I wanted it to be genuine and honest and not felt like it was forced.
Yeah.
And I tried to force them in the way of like, you're not talking about me, you're talking about Patorama and Pat. It's not, even though obviously I work with them quite frequently.
Yeah.
I want to, you just want to take that out of their head a little bit, just so they can give you the real stuff.
Give you the real stuff, yeah. And it's like, if it was a negative, if someone throws a negative your way, it's not negative. Like I don't see anything as negative. Like if something doesn't go right, it's just what was it? What? Let's fix it. And how do we not do that again?
Yeah.
Like you learn, and it's always an opportunity. And that sounds a bit wankerish, but everything's an opportunity one way or another. If it's working well, great. If it's not working well, why?
Yes.
And how do we fix it? And is it an opportunity to better ourselves? There's even parts in our building where we've been doing certain tasks for free for years, not even acknowledging that we're putting effort into something that we do, but it's not being costed properly. But from a marketing risk, the reason we took on the marketing was, to get more, to create Exceed Homes as a brand, not just the people. People are a big part of it, but the brand itself is important. I mean, if we ever want to retire, if we ever wanted to sell the business to someone else. I mean,
this is the next
if
step
the business
anyway.
Is Paul and Sandy, then it's not getting sold to anybody.
Yeah.
If Exceed Homes is a brand, then there's some IP and some value there.
Yeah.
And so it's extracting the value, and you guys do that. You basically you send us the next 6 weeks worth of posts that we're going to do, and we get to look at that and review that and improve it. You've organically created some segments that like we've got Jonesy on site, who's a legend, and Luke's
great in front of
got him out in front. Now Jonesy's explained to our clients, what a pre-sheet is or why we do certain things, and it's funny.
Yeah.
And interviewing certain staff who, that people love, like friends and family love seeing their loved one on Facebook getting interviewed,
And also with a bit of production as well, if it's done with an iPhone, you're like, oh, whatever. But if it's a bit of fuss around it,
a bit of fuss around it.
Cool. It is interesting though, I guess how you talk about that. I think part of your brand very much is the human element. And so it is interesting you trying to create value outside of that and not just the value be there.
Well, I think we already do the human element.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm sort of hinting at, is that like your human element is already so strong once you've developed, I suppose, like the branding side of it or the marketing side of it. You're going to have a bit of a double-barreled winner.
I think, that's the point. So we know once we engage with clients that we have a high success rate. So in theory, and educating clients is a big part of that. So getting that inquiry, getting that touch point and getting someone interested to have that inquiry, to then meet them and then build rapport and educate them on how we do our business, and if that's a good fit for them moving forward. So I suppose by marketing and by doing these actions means that we're just getting more people to then add the human element to it, build the trust, get them in the door.
It's basically getting them in the door, and you've done your company's already a company of success and people orientated and very hands-on, helping or not helping depending on what you need to get the job done. And it's just a way through social media, through the marketing that we're doing, to show that and then go, this is why I should work towards. Like, we're just another builder at the end of the day, but our unique experience is people, and we care for you, and we're not just going to pack them, rack them, and stack them.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of guys out. There's plenty of building businesses out there that do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of. I mean, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing, and I look at some of their. I do a lot of research into my competitors, and I look at what they do well, and I'm not afraid to say I emulate. If someone's doing something really well and it makes sense,
might as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's look at that.
Yeah.
And I look at the way they procure and how they get low cost and how they drive their budget, and I go, well, that's not us.
Yeah.
Like we won't screw over one of our subbies. We won't make them compete against each other and make as least money as possible.
Yeah.
We won't push them to work as fast as possible to just meet the minimum standards to get out the door.
Yeah.
We won't deliver a product that's not been pre-defected and fit for purpose before you get to live in it. So we're not prepared to do those things. So we need to have a business that we can educate people to understand that, and understand that, yes, whilst those things are really nice to have, they come with a cost, and that's why that we might cost X amount and others might cost a little bit less.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bills that cost a lot more too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taken that. We're active in the way we run our business.
Yeah.
So we're active in the way that we keep our overheads as low as possible. We use cloud-based computing. We use technology. We do a lot of things that mean that we can be competitive with the big guys. So it's a mixture. Everybody's different.
Okay, so here's a question. So for advice for small to medium builders who are on the fence about doing marketing, what would you think? Do you think it's A, successful with what you're sort of doing and trying to achieve, and B, what would make them take the leap to actually jump into actually doing marketing?
Okay, so there's a couple of keys to that. There's this big step from being a builder that does 2 to 3 projects a year to 10 to 12.
Right.
And that's unfortunately where a lot of building companies fail. So forgetting the last 12 months, 2 years, there's been a whole bunch of other reasons for builders to fail, but because you're a good carpenter and you've got your builder's license and you've successfully, you and your mates have built 2 homes and done well, there's a big difference between doing that and doing 12 of them. And that's a whole other podcast and conversation.
I was going to say, it sounds like that's leading into the process question.
But so the reason to take on the marketing and when to do it is basically the better your brand, the better the trust in your brand, and the more awareness people have for your brand means that you can sell your product for the price that it should be sold at.
Not what you think,
not what you're not competing. You're not competing with the cellar dwellers. You're not winning on best price. You're winning your business based on what you deliver, and you're giving the customer value for money for the quality that you will deliver in the process that you're going to deliver in the product. The way that you educate is through marketing and information, and you might think, okay, well, that spend per month, whether it be $1,000 or $10,000. It's just a lot of money. I can tell you, like, if you win one job in 12 months because you did marketing at the right margin, it's paid for.
Yes.
It's done.
It's paid for itself.
It's paid for itself. So it's actually not even an argument.
Yeah.
Like the reality of it is that if you can make the margin that the government and the home warranty insurers want you to make as a builder, which you need to make as a builder to make it worth your while, risking your family's home and everything you do on being your own boss, one house will pay for, marketing for a year. Yeah. And so I think as a small builder, don't expect that you're going to get instant results, but the results will come. It's organic. Just remember that whilst it sounds like a lot of money, it's actually not. If you compare it to the revenues that go through construction companies, even if you did 10 homes in a year, your revenues for that year will be somewhere around that, $5 million mark. So we start talking about, even if you spent $5,000 a month on marketing, $60,000.
That's a blip.
It's sort of a blip.
Yeah.
It is sort of a blip, you know what I mean? But it's always hard when you're starting out and you're growing and, you don't have the money. That's when you really need the marketing.
Yes.
Yeah. And you'll never not need it, but that's when it's really going to add value.
Yeah. When you're new to the game and you don't know where to start, the marketing's usually the first place to get results relatively quickly because you can either drive it quickly or as a retainer sort of slowly forward. So, yeah.
So I'm currently quoting a couple of jobs where unfortunately a builder's gone into liquidation and we've been asked by the HIA to quote to take these jobs over. And I'm coming in late because they've already got the design done. They've got their plans. The builder's been started. Some are at slab stage, some are at lock-up stage. And so I've got to quickly go back and understand how they got to where they got to, what was important to them from the start, how do I, represent value to them and build trust with them so quickly, because we're a good fit for them. Like, we're a relationship-driven company. You've just been burnt by another builder, you've gone bust and your build stopped and you've lost money and you're in a whole world of pain. And guess what? Like, we're going to really help you with that because that's our
I love that that's the first thing you think about. I love the fact that you don't go, we basically just grab the plans and start building. You guys are like, let's go back and talk to the people who are going to live here and let's make sure that they get what they want.
Well, that's right. And how do you, like, a builder who'll price, just give it a cheap price to win it, to get it going, they'll do that. But I don't think there'll be an experience there for the client to come out there and go, that actually end up being okay. So a big part of what I've been doing with these clients is understanding more about them. Because, I mean, these are contracts they signed in 2020 and 2021, and guess what's happened since then? The price has gone up a third.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they're getting quotes from all these builders that are like way past their loan amounts and budgets and stuff like that. So I'm having a whole bunch of conversations around, well, what can we maybe detune for your build? And, what's your priority here? And, could you forego a stone top, bench top in your laundry and put a laminate bench top in there? Really, it's not really a feature, is it? Or can we get rid of the wood grain panels in your walk-in robe? Really, it's where you put your clothes.
And then just bringing that back into social media, this is why this is so important, because you can actually now use your channel to have the same conversation that you've already had with 10 potential new clients and actually show that and say, look, this and this reason, these are things that we've been seeing that are common questions that come up, and using social and marketing to help generate that and put trust on, or the gravitas on what you're actually saying. It actually makes sense. It's not just I'm saying it for the sake of saying it. That's,
It's real. Like these are real people, real problems.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. I think you're just like you're tapping someone on the shoulder who is in the exact same boat, because they'll find you. They'll stumble onto who you are and what you do, and you'll tell them the person you've just had a conversation with will be in the same position, and you'll say to them, "Hey, like this is hard, you know, but we're here for you."
That's right.
And they go, "My God, no one said that to me yet." And I think it's just the great thing about the marketing and the social media and all those is just allowing you to have more conversations with more people. And it is a one way in some respects, but it'll quickly become a two-way when they pick up that phone and go, "I love what you do. I love your brand. Let's have."
Well, that's what it is, isn't it? It's about getting that call.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then they have that conversation, and then they go back and maybe visit your social media and go, "Oh, I remember Paul saying."
Yeah. But because of the social media, the conversation is a lot more easier and natural because they feel like they're already a part of you because they're watching your growth or your selection through social media by the conversation that you're already having on the platforms.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you almost don't like when people make buying decisions, they make a buying decision based on a few things, and price is certainly one of them. But another part of it is it value for money?
It's emotion and value.
And is it going to make me happy? So, you know, sometimes if things are too cheap, people go, "Oh, it's no good."
Yeah,
It's just too cheap.
Well, they did that in so there's a big company called Selfridges. I say big; they're a very expensive shop in London, and I think their cheapest pair of jeans was £70, which is like obviously $150, and no one was buying them because they were too cheap.
Yeah,
Wow.
they just perceived it wasn't.
It wasn't perceived to be good quality, so they doubled the price, and they're the thing that sold the most.
They sell them, yeah. So when someone meets us and walks into our display, I'm like, "Okay, next display home will open in January next year."
It's looking good. We've been there the other week.
Which will be good, you know. We're looking forward to having that face-to-face contact. It's been a year that we've had weekends off, which has also been nice, but I'm also looking forward to getting back into the display home and meeting new people again. So not only are they going to come in and say, look at our quality, and they'll see it in the house because we know we built a good product. They'll see the people that they talk to, and then they'll go look. First thing you do when you meet anybody is you go Google, you know, blah blah blah. I do it like when I have a new new client, I'll go John Smith, and I'll go, oh, they like hockey. They work for this company or they're in the public service. So when I meet them, I feel like I already have a connection with them.
Yeah, it's backed up. So basically the display homes are the first step, and then you've got all this social proof to see that what you're actually talking about is
true. So
true.
when they actually go and say, and they vet the experience they had.
Vetting is a great word.
And then they go and see Instagram, Facebook. They see all this history. They go, oh, and then they see our staff having a chat.
Yeah.
They go, oh, they're all real people. And they all make sense. And look at that element. I've talked to Paul about that. I remember that Bill, he told me about that, that bench top that he did for that person.
Yeah.
So it's just that final link in the circle of basically building
the communication chain. Yeah.
And you guys are really like focused on that. You've been very involved in some of your homeowners' lives in some respects. You've built some nice friendships with some of them.
We do. I feel bad because one thing that I've got to get better at as a person in business is I'm always forward facing. So I've got a really good team behind me, and we build rapport and we do the design together. And Sandy gets involved, and Rob gets involved, the project manager, and then it gets handed over to the construction guys. And I'm looking forward to the next project for my guys to keep them employed and keep the company going. Yeah. And I need to look back more because we really make friends with the people, and they end up being really, and I see them after 6 months and we're still mates, but I haven't seen them for 6 months. I really need to put 2 or 3 opportunities during the build process to go and say hello to them again.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm trying to work on in myself. Because it's all well and good to know that we got to sign more contracts and do more work, or else we don't exist. But we also, I personally need to stay connected with the stuff that's happening, even though they don't need me. Like Rob doesn't need me to build a house, and Jake, who runs our sites, doesn't need me to manage staff and manage our contractors.
No, but it helps just with that ever-growing relationship and that overall trust and that good word of mouth experience.
That's what it, and it should help me. Like I need to do it.
Yeah,
100%. I think it sounds like you just want to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like it just fills your soul a little bit, which I think is great.
That makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's about.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, money comes and goes, and but the
relationship and the connection you've made, and someone's life you've changed because you've potentially built their dream home that that they can now enjoy, and you were a part of that process is a pretty humbling feeling.
It's humbling. We've had clients cry.
Yeah,
like on a handover.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Because then I get teary.
Yeah,
so it's not good.
Bring out your sensitive side.
It's not tough to cry.
Yeah. The boys aren't here, are they?
No one's saying, turn the camera off, Luke.
Don't worry about me. I'll be back there streaming behind. Yeah, don't worry.
Just going as well.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Everybody it's good. Like we're not perfect. We have our problems, and we've had some clients that we haven't always got along with, and they don't always end saying we've got to have you over for a barbecue.
Well,
but they always end with a really good product. I can tell you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And so I wanted to give me like a real quick rundown of how your process works, and then we can kind of go through it on a bit of a longer scale. But I'm just curious as to how you go from like someone calls you to handing over the keys and crying.
Yeah,
basically.
Good question. The crying part. Yeah, no. So in the perfect world, in our perfect process, we'll get engaged with someone, whether through whatever mechanism. I'll sit down with the client and do a brief with them. That can happen in a couple-hour session. It could happen in a few hours, 2-hour sessions. Depends on the person, the detail they want to get down into, and that's all about outcomes. So it's about spaces they want to create, styles, pictures that they like of homes, pictures they like of bathrooms, kitchens. It's about understanding their family dynamic. How many kids, how many rooms they need. It's understanding a bit about their budget, and where they want to sit, and setting some expectations as well at that early stage. So, I've met with some clients and they'll go, I want, a 300 square metre home with 5 bedrooms and this I think, and my budget is $300,000. And I'll say,
go to McDonald Jones Homes.
Well, they're way too expensive. I'll say, listen, we can't do that for you. It's not a fit for us, but there are some low cost builders out there. You might want to have a chat to. So based on a successful briefing period, we do charge for our quotes. So we charge for a single story home. We charge $3,500. What that gets you is the briefing process. It gets you your concept plan from the architect, which will be a facade and floor plan, and you'll get an estimate through Exceed Homes. We call them building proposals. We don't like tenders. We write a proposal. We write our proposals in plain English, so you can, as anybody can read it and understand what they're going to get. And at that point, you can then make a buying decision. So for $3,500, you've got a floor plan, a facade of the house, which is what's going to look like. You've got a detailed proposal spelling out what you're going to get, what allowances you have, where the risks are, and you'll have a draft building contract.
But see, doing it like that is the ultimate way of doing it, because and there's no reason that a client at that point should say no. It's because they've already had the experience with you, and if anything, they've really stepped you through you've stepped them through every single step of what's about to happen for $3,000. And yes, if they want to go on, that's their own problem. But you've given them everything, basically, a plan to move forward.
Yeah, and our approach is that if I'm any good at what I do, and I've got a long, deep history in customer relations and sales and that sort of thing. So I quickly will work out whether or not we're a fit for you, and whether or not you're a fit for you. Will work out whether I'm a fit for you. It's a two-way street. So we don't take on every job. I've actually said no to quoting for people. I've said no, we're not a good fit for you. We don't suit you for whatever reason, and we just.
But of course you hand them on, or you recommend things.
We'll make some recommendations. Say, listen, there are you're probably more suited to this style of builder or whatnot. I mean, a lot of time it comes to budget. Like I'll be honest, it does come to budget, and there's no point us taking your $3,500 and giving you a plan and a proposal you can't afford. So you're not doing the right thing by us or by you. So once we get to that point, and you've had the opportunity to take your and take your draft contract, your building proposal, and your plans, and organise your finance. We then ask you to sign a building contract. We use HIA's standard contract. The only thing we add to it is we have a lot of clauses in there for site safety. So as a managing director of a business, I'm liable for any issues that arise on site, including deaths, injuries, etc. And that's something that we found that the contract we had didn't really address enough, didn't give enough rules around clients not going to site.
I was going to say, do you allow site visits or?
Yeah, escorted. Yes, yeah, but clients who break in and start walking through the house, they will quickly shut their site down for a few weeks to stop that from happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
So once that contract's signed, it goes into two streams. So Sandy will book design the side of things. So that typically means spending some time with J&B Design, our designer, Julie, who will then do colour palettes, joinery design, material selections, paint colours, and that whole thing. Sandy will then take you shopping, picking your ovens and cooktops and vanities.
Take you shopping. Oh, I'll go shopping with Sandy. That sounds like loads of fun.
So she'll do that process.
Although it's very exhausting, a day of choices. It just becomes
not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I've engaged back with the architect. Said, "Yep, the client's happy with the concept. Can you now go to working drawings? We'll get soil classifications. We'll get engineering created at the right time. We'll start developing the application for the council or ACPLA or whoever we need to." So they're working in parallel with each other.
And you've added another step. You've also given this option to allow clients to sort of visually see with a 3D render some of their stuff. So
Absolutely. So through you guys, we can create the look of the home. So once we do that initial design phase, and we get it's going to be timber cladding here, and it's going to be foam there, or render there, and this sort of door. Absolutely. We can show you what the house looks like. Then you're not questioning why looking at that wall and saying, is that a line of brick line, or is that a render line, or is that a FC sheet line, or just seeing the product and you can see the colours and there's a cost associated with it, but I think
it's a worthwhile cost.
It's a worthwhile cost.
Yeah. Because again, it's a little blip into making sure that you're getting exactly, and you're understanding what you're getting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Setting expectations. Yeah. Like I just think that seems to be, because you have such a long pipeline of like customer relation. I think just at every stage, making sure that expectation is on par makes the end result so much better.
We talked about that, haven't we? We talked about basically setting outcome expectations and delivering the expectations.
Yep. Yeah.
Like we've got a job at the moment on the corner of Bedford Street, Deakin, and we use the digital render and made a big sign because it's such a big thoroughfare of cars. And I love going there because actually the render looks like the house.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
It's like, that's a good start, isn't it? You could build it. Yeah.
I think guys go to the front, go, and what does that look like? Oh, yeah, I go, okay, I'll go build that now. They don't. I'm joking about that. But
so from plan,
design.
Yep. And now the build process.
We submit for building approval. All your selections, all the data that makes up what your outcome is gets loaded onto our project management software called Builder Trend. It's a cloud-based system. So literally we'll say ensuite, upper level, this will be your vanity, this is your tapware, this is this is your bath, and it's all there with specification sheets that get approved by the client.
Yep.
So they know that bathroom's getting that set of that, the kitchen's getting this, all the joinery designs are approved. So everything we don't want to, and we won't start the build without having everything in place
and approved by the client.
Yeah. Because what will happen is, first thing that happens is we rough in drains, and the drain has to go in. Like, is it a floating vanity? Does that pipe have to come up in the wall because it's floating, or is it a floor mounted one? Can it come up through underneath? What's the toilet? Is it back to wall, or is it built into So you don't know.
The position of each thing. Yeah.
And so once the client, and by accepting all that and improving it all and seeing all the pictures is another step in saying, I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I know where it's going. So once that's all approved, and we have building approval from whichever council or authority has to provide it, we start the build. We'll basically do a site cut. We will then do drainage. We'll put the slab down. We'll then erect the frames and trusses and structural steel elements. We'll then clad it, put the roof on. Then we'll get the client through and we'll do a walkthrough for roughing. So we'll rough in the electrical and plumbing and air conditioning elements. So we'll walk through with you and say, where do you want your mixer tap for your shower?
You're surprising how much changed. Even though you've already put it on a plan, it then changes when you physically see it in front of it.
I really want 2 switches, one here and one here for this hallway. Or
it'll cost you more, but we can do it for you. Yeah.
I've had it where you gave us 4 downlights for this room, because when I do electrical schedules, I actually go, well, if I was living there, what would I want?
Yeah.
And I then cost that. But I've had people go, 4's too much in my master bedroom. It'd be too much light. Just take 2 away.
Yeah.
But I want extra. I want extra one over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're very flexible that way. We've got clients. We've got a lovely lady that we're building for who's really tall. She's 6'6".
You build high ceilings, obviously.
She bench tops.
Her bench tops are really tall.
Not ceilings, bench tops.
Yeah. So her bench tops in her home are tall because she gets a sore back
by going down.
Yeah. And she loves the kitchen. So we designed it around her personal requirement.
Yeah. This was something I was talking to Jonesy about, and I don't know if we're going to keep this in or not, but he said that we don't build houses, we build really nice coffins. Because people love it. They want to die here.
Talk about houses, right? And this may or may not stay in. So, and the house.
Yep.
So on Erskine Loop in Googong, there's a house that's seafoam green at the pink front door. You can see it from the main drag, right?
Yes, I know exactly the house you're talking about.
The neighbours signed a petition against the home, right?
Uh-huh.
We built that house. So it was this lovely retired couple from Burrawa, and they sold up their post office and they moved to Canberra. This is their, you talk about coffins, like this, they're building their house. The only first house they ever built for themselves, and this is their house, right? And she's very eclectic. Like, she loves bright colours, and she's got the purple hair. And
like to them, the house itself is amazing. It's a really cool looking house.
She can't understand why people don't like her house, right? But the cracking thing about this house, right? So it actually changed our processes, because we didn't, in our quotes, we never said, process. We never said, this is how many paint colours you can have. But she has 8 different colours within her home, and they're all vibrant colours, right? They're like these colours.
Right.
And what was happening was, and there's more to it, but what was happening was the walls were so bright, is that the guys on site were getting angry. There was too much stimuli going on. And we found on that site that the trades were arguing and the staff weren't happy and whatever. And I walked from the front door to the back door one day and I went,
I'm mad for no reason.
It's these colours, like, they're just so bright.
Wow.
You're trying to focus, and this canary yellow and this bright pink, and she went to Riverland Tiles and she bought up all their superseded stock of tiles. I reckon the stuff came from the 70s. Like, there's a firm belief from everybody in staff that if they ever have to sell the home, or if they move on, the kids have to sell the home, they're going to have to knock it over.
Well, and this is this leads into a really good conversation really quickly about building a house that you're building it for you to some degree, but you've got to choose whether or not you're building a house to live there forever, or you're building a house that is going to be an asset that is going to be handed over to the next custodian at some point in the future. And building a house that is that unique is really detrimental. We have this talk with agents all the time about how we tell vendors that you need to strip out the personality in homes to make sure that it's something that can be resellable and that is actually an asset that can make you money, instead of
a blank slate,
or about a blank slate that you can then move forward on. Whereas this house, I just don't think that's ever going to happen. But it's not necessarily designed to do that.
And I didn't pay anybody to come take professional photos of it.
Yeah,
and it's not on my website.
Yeah,
but you know what? They love it.
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah,
and that's the end result, right?
And that's the end result. Like, it's not my home. I mean, it's built well, and it's of a quality, and they love it. And I've, if the neighbours don't like it, that's up to them. But it's not what we're about. We're about building. I'm not going to like every house that we build.
No.
And there's a house I recently built that I don't mind that you really liked, and I go, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's fine. Like, it's everybody's different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's some unique clients out there, and you're right. Your comments about we do a lot of investor builds. So when we do knockdown rebuilds, a lot of them in Ainslie and Hackett and those sort of inner Canberra areas. And some investors are very unemotional. and we've got some pallets that really work for them. And we just say, listen, leave it with us.
We'll just make it happen.
We built something similar. Here's the photos of this building. Oh yeah, that's fine. And, and it'll attract the greatest number of people to rent it or to buy it because it's neutral.
Which is good because it's exactly what it wants to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I met with a client who's going to do a duplex in Ainslie, and she was really invested in the colours and stuff like that. And I was saying to Anna, Anna, you know, this is great. You're adding cost to your build firstly because you're going to be engaging a designer, and it's probably going to be $5,000 worth of design effort to do that. And secondly, some of your ideas that you're passing, whilst sound beautiful, I said, will only appeal to a certain amount of people. And I said, you're renting these things out. I said, so you may want to consider. But she said, no, I really want to do this. I said, okay. So we can only give as much advice as we can. You know this. Like you can advise people on marketing. You can say, this is best practice. But if someone's really going to do it,
they're
they
going
really
to
want to do it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's theirs. Like it'll be like their marketing service, or it'll be their home, or it'll be their whatever.
It's their product. They're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's like coaching an under-6 soccer team. You know, there's no point putting Jimmy at the back if Jimmy wants to be at the front.
Yeah.
Jimmy's going to end up at the front.
Jimmy's going to be the front regardless
Exactly
of what you want to say.
Yeah. And Mum says, why doesn't Jimmy ever get to play fullback? It's like, because Jimmy won't stay there. Jimmy's going to the front.
That's such a funny way of looking at it.
Yeah. So no, it's you're right. You know, if you're trying to appeal to a mass, you know, people with flip homes or another conversation I had today with another client, you know, building a really big custom home, and he's, I'm, you know, if I spend this much on the land and this much on the build, it's not going to be worth that much. And I said, no customized home that I've ever built has been worth what you've spent building it.
Yeah, correct.
On the day you finish
building
it.
Correct.
In 5 years' time,
it will.
worth more.
Yeah.
I said, but, you know.
No, we've walked into a couple of really big homes in Gugong that's been the case where you've talked to builders and go, I've sunken $2-3 million into building this home, and you're like, you're not gonna get that out of it when you sell it, but it looks amazing, I reckon. But you give it 10 years, and it's the sort of thing like, is Gugong going to become a place that is Deakin in 10, 15 years' time? It's this up and coming place where you have these amazing McMansions, and it will be worth it one day.
Exactly right. Well, I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
We got a big home in Gugong, and you know we
Good
knew
view
that
too. Bloody cracking view.
Yeah, well, we bought a block of land, then decided what house we wanted to build on it but we knew we'll probably get our money back today after 4 years. You know, if we sold it today, we'd probably be all right. But 4 years ago, the valuer came out and said, I'm not going to value it anywhere near its worth. I said, no, I understand that. I knew that I was over-investing in this space.
But again, it all comes down to, are you building it for you and to live there permanently, or are you building it for the next generation to move on?
But you've been in Gugong a while, right? So Gugong, because we both lived there, obviously we know a lot about it, but Gugong didn't have $1 million sale for ages.
No.
Like, couldn't crack $1 million. A really beautiful home sold for $100 million.
Yep.
And then it took one.
Yep.
And then it went to 1.3, like within 3 months.
Yep.
So it just took that one buy to go, I'm going to spend $1 million in Gugong, to then get the 1.3. We sold our last display home for $1.4 million, and it was only living area of 260 square meters.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then there's a house just on Erskine Loop, which is up the road, that's on the market now. It's a 6-bedroom that's selling for 1.6. So...
Well, 1.5, 1.6 now is
standard.
Gugong. Like, if you've got a nice quality home in Gugong, you can get $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still it doesn't compare to like Deakin and whatever.
Yeah.
But end of the day, took that one little get that $1 million sale, and then the 1.3 came, and then 1.5 came, and
we're up from there.
I think the 2 million's coming.
Yeah.
There's some homes in Gugong that are worth over 2 million.
But they haven't come on the market yet because they're just too gorgeous to sell. They're just,
They're also pretty new, right?
Well, they're relatively very new too. Yeah. And some of these big blocks and some of these new parts that I'm seeing of big blocks that have been built, just cracking. There's one just down from you guys, that big house. It's like a couple of acreage. There's two. There are two of those. Big blocks there that they'll sell huge amounts. Anyway, that's enough on me. I've got enough questions out of Paul. Have you got enough questions out of Paul?
I think so. I think one thing I was going to ask was, so you build, the display home. I'm curious about that. So obviously you build a home. This is something that you do yourself to sort of demonstrate your capabilities and all that sort of stuff. And then you put that on the market after you've finished.
There's several different ways of doing it.
How does that work?
Yeah, so display homes are typically around for about 3 years. They're there to show capability. For example, like our last display home had a pool in the middle and right close to the glass. And I've noticed now I'm seeing a lot of that
trend coming on
from other builders. But it does. It answers that question. So at the moment, I don't have a display home, so I'm taking clients to other jobs that I've got going, showing them our work. Whereas at a display home, they walk in, they can see your quality.
Yep.
Do you know that makes a big difference?
Makes a huge difference. And then also they can see your standards. They can see that that's our standard range. That's a standard product. That, we use Clipsal, iconic range, and that's what's in here. And if you don't ask for something different, that's our standard skirtings and architraves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it brings them to you. So you're not chasing people. Like they're coming to you and having that conversation. We talk about that important first conversation.
Yes.
Start building rapport.
Yeah.
You can own it. So at the moment, our display home, Sandy and I, we own it and we build it. We can sell it and rent it back. We can hold it.
That's what I hear a lot of other builders do. They sell it off pretty quickly and then they just do it on a rental scheme they're renting it back to the builder for a period of time.
It depends, and it depends. I mean, obviously, as an investment property, it's benefits to have an investment.
Yeah,
a brand new home is highly depreciable. I mean, I'm no accountant, but end of the day, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And paying yourself rent for a product is great. You make sure you can get the right amount.
Yeah.
The other thing as a builder, you're always looking to free up ability to borrow.
Yep.
So you can do more projects. Yep. So by selling it and renting it back, you can get a loan for something else.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it. Yeah. So if you're looking to buy a display home, I've got a really nice one.
Cool. I'll think about it.
Yeah. I'll ask for a pay rise, but
I was going to say, I'll bring you my massive suitcase full of money.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for coming on the show. It's been awesome having a chat to you, getting some insights that I hadn't even thought of for the building world before.
There's so much more I'd want to tap your brain for, but
we don't want to push it over 2 hours. We could talk all day.
I've got an hour in me that I'm sort of
done.
We'll tails off after that. Yeah.
It's such a big subject. There's so much, and so much I still don't know. But coming from a non-building background and then coming into this industry and using lessons learned from IT and then trying to apply things here and then making some mistakes and it's a really cool industry. But they're big numbers and they're people's lives and they're it's most people's biggest spend in their lifetime.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But you're also supporting the families of your employees as well. There's
so much.
So much to be said about that. So much to be
said. Yeah. No, but it's been really cool. I'd be happy to do it again.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Mate.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.